Chef, come on in, because you got some beautiful things to show off here. Let me get these out.
Hey, Rick.
How are you?
Awesome. Thank you very much for having us.
Of course. Look at this. It's amazing. We'll get some space right there. Beautiful. All right, Chef.
How are you?
Thank you
Pleasure
for
to
joining
meet
me. So, Chef Sylvia, we're going to talk about his background, of course, and then we're going to get these amazing dishes, but the oldest restaurant, right? The oldest restaurant in the country.
Yes, sir.
All right.
1673. It was built as a house in 1652. It opened as a tavern in 1673. It operated. We're now on its 8th family total
Of ownership.
Of ownership. It had a small, brief time where it closed in the. We can't say continuously operating, but it closed in the early 1900s, and the Preservation Society opened it up and restored it in the 50s.
Awesome.
And we've been open since. It's fine dining, non-pretentious.
It's a beautiful location. So if you've not been to the White Horse Tavern, you absolutely need to get there first and foremost. We're going to put that out there. But the menu, so here we go. We got questions already coming in. So I've gotten a lot of things already before the show to talk to the chef about. So we're going to get to those. I promise you all of you to ask me questions. And I've already prepped the chef for a couple of these good questions. But let's talk about these dishes because these look extraordinary. So tell me what you brought me here.
Okay. I brought our most traditional dish. It's been on the menu for close to 40 years. It's the individual beef Wellington. There's not really much we've done to change that. We were using store-bought pâtés years ago. I have a fresh foie gras pâté that we make in-house, fresh pureed potato. There's seared filet wrapped in puff pastry stuffed with foie gras. Sauce Perrigot, which is a truffle bordelaise sauce, so red wine, demi-glace, truffle juice.
Beautiful.
We source right now. We're getting Italian summer truffles for that sauce, which you'll also see on our lobster risotto.
This, I'm already, I was drooling over this while I was prepping it out there, because everything in this dish is something that I love, so let's go to that.
So we have local asparagus, the blue oyster mushrooms in there. We have grown to a certain size for us by Rhode Island Mushroom in Kingston. The lobster comes right off the boat in either Newport or New Bedford.
Really?
And then risotto stock, lobster stock, and then fresh shaved black truffles over the top, and then we have some red sorrel and stuff that we grow on property for our
So
garnish.
this is like completely locally sourced.
Absolutely.
So the mushrooms you said are from where?
Rhode Island Mushroom Company out of Kingston, Rhode Island. They
Really?
have a farm inside of Arnold Lumber's, one of the Arnold Lumber's building right next to the train station.
I did not even know that.
Yeah.
See, we now just learned about another place to locally source.
And the owner of that was once the general manager, set back a few years at the tavern too, so we're kind of close when it comes to that. We got a good relationship.
So not only is this going to taste amazing, you're going to feel good because all this stuff is coming locally sourced. That's
Sure
awesome,
thing.
chef. And what we got here?
It's just a little special byproduct, of the striped bass we had this week. This is something we're running as a special this week. It's a striped bass and potato cake, and it's got a little bit of corn basil relish, a little bit of bacon in the relish, some -8 vinegar, which is sourced out of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a really, really nice ice wine vinegar, and then roasted tomato vinaigrette and some fresh picked dill from our gardens on property.
Chef, these are absolutely beautiful
Thank you.
creations, no doubt about it. And I'm going to be probably devouring some of these mushrooms very
I
soon.
hope so.
So let's talk about this because the menu we're going to get to because this is just the beginning of talking about that. But the chef has a phenomenal background and has been in Rhode Island for a very long time. And you studied at
Johnston Wales,
phenomenal. Another shout out to Johnson and Wales. I love it when I get other alumni that come in.
proud alumni.
Proud alumni, awesome. So, and you've been an executive chef now at the White Horse for I think
9 years.
9 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's in the chef world, that's a very long time to be an executive chef at some place.
Yeah,
and
very proud.
One of the things that's come out of this is that when you came on, and this is what I've been told by a couple of people that are pretty much regulars at joining your place, and now people are asking questions, you've evolved the menu over those 9 years, right?
Well, we have a good team. It's not every single person that I bring on, has added to the team. Our front of the house, our back of the house, our input from our waiters, our servers, our general manager, to all the way cooks, garmager cooks, and everything. We're really an open format in making everything that we do better. So we look for a lot of input in that, and we were pretty darn pretentious when I got there. Jackets, waiters in tuxedos, and
The menu hadn't changed in a long time, that's what I was getting
it
at.
was very old, stuffy French, which has its place.
Right.
And as far as tradition goes, I learned a lot of what I did based on French, but it's really non-pretentious now. It's real crisp, fresh, trendy, but still safe enough because we do have to balance out the tourist aspect of it.
Right. And that was when I stopped in last week, when I stopped into the White Horse Tavern to check on things, and to try to make sure I could get the chef secured to come on the show. And the restaurant itself was jamming, and this was lunchtime when I was in there, so it was full. And there was a mix. I was talking to a bunch of people. There was a nice mix of tourists and locals, and I think that that's something we're going to discover today with all the guests that I have on. Is that does exist. These are all local spots. It's not like you can go there and feel like you're always going to be amongst tourists or worried about the tourist crowd. Is there going to be a mix? Yes, it's Newport, but technically for most of us crossing that bridge, we become tourists in our own state. So to go there and have this experience, and let's talk about that, the experience a little bit. So the dining room, you've got a bar in one area, then you've got the dining room, and you even got al fresco down there.
Yeah, we have 24 seats out on the patio this time of year. Usually we open it up unofficially the end of April. If you ask to sit out there, we'll let you do it.
Yeah.
But usually mid-June we open it full force, and you know it gets pretty busy this time of year, and it's really a nice, comfortable, cool place off of the water. If you're looking for something that's not so crowded during the daytime, it's the patio to go to.
It's beautifully designed. I mean, the patio was very nicely designed. And then dining inside, what do we have?
We have all period floors, chairs and tables that are pretty much, we have 3 major dining rooms, 2 smaller intimate dining rooms, and 2 bars, an upstairs bar and a downstairs bar, which are open virtually every day of the week. It's wonderful. The floors we just redid. 3 of the dining rooms, they're original wood that were cut from the island.
Wow.
So the planks are probably a 1.5 feet wide from huge.
So you're
oak
dining
trees.
in history. You're literally dining in history.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, I was reading. You've got awesome clips. You've got different, historical clips hanging up throughout the restaurant. And I was reading just the ones in the welcome area when you came in. And I'm a history buff, so history, food, and wine, I'm golden. I was in my glory to come in and see this. Speaking of that, Chef brought me in. I don't want to forget to bring these up. You brought in beer, yes? And then someone just texted me, am I drinking wine all segment? No. I've got some beers. And the chef's also going to talk to me about this, because there was a unique story behind this rum, right, Chef?
Absolutely. We work with Thomas II Brewing, rum distilleries in Newport. It's the only distillery on the island, and they age the rum in used Woodford bourbon barrels. So it's got a nice oaky, smoky flavor to it. But every year and a half, we buy a barrel ourselves, which is about 180 cases. So each barrel gives a different taste to each batch of rum. We're the only ones right now with the rum that we have that tastes exactly the same as this rum. Nobody else has bought that, able to sell it. And we're very proud of that. And it's about as local as you can get. We do some of their beers, Newport Storm beers, in can right now. And right now we're about, I'd say, halfway through 180 cases.
Halfway through.
So come
And
down
it's
and
beginning of
drink some
July.
rum.
It's beginning of July. So this is a cool thing to know. So, the White Horse Tavern is known for its Wine Spectator Award, and you guys have gotten it many years in a row. And they do have a tremendous, and I mean a beautiful, tremendous wine list, trust me. But to talk about the fact that you have the specialty rums, that you have these craft beers, because these are, let's talk about these. We've got a few different ones here, right?
Sure, we've got our general manager and he's got a great bar crew. They're really working hard at bringing in as local as possible. So we have a cider from Vermont, probably my favorite cider, Citizen Cider. This is their generic brand. They do one infused with hops, one that has it's a wit style beer.
Okay.
Cider. Very, very good, very balanced and all around good taste. Not too sweet, not too dry, so real well. Then we have, this is probably my favorite on our list right now. It's a Black Hog Granola Brown Ale. This is out of Connecticut. It gives you kind of like a little bit more of a porter taste than a brown ale, but I would say definitely one of my favorites, and I like to drink that a little bit warmer than cold, but we have that cold. Then the Clementine White Ale, which is Clown Shoes, that's out of Massachusetts, and it is a really, really nice white ale.
All right, that's the one I'm going to try. White ale. I'm going to try that. Okay. And then last but not least,
we have our Czech style Pilsner from Berkshire Brewing. It's called Busker. And like I said, Ryan, our GM, is really working hard at, we're doing really well with Wine Spectator, but every single week we added something else. Our bourbon selection is huge. Everything from Orphan Barrel, we have some set aside right now for the future, some Pappy,
That's really good.
Isn't it
I have to
nice?
honestly say that's really nice.
And you know, considering the craft beer, and it's extremely affordable. You're not going to pay the $16 for a 4-pack that you would for a lot of them.
And you said this is out of Connecticut, you say?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, okay. No, that's, all right, you all know I'm not a beer drinker, that's really, really good, I'm impressed. So, talking about this, and you're saying, so you've sourced that, do you find that both your mix of your tourism guests and your locals are adapting more to trying more of these things?
Sure.
So spreading out and adapting to the taste? So the beverage program for you guys, and I know, I talked to Ryan, your GM, you have, like you said, he has a tremendous staff. Are you guys trying to get the guest to experience more about enjoying different beverages with the food?
In every single thing that we do, it's not just about you know, the guests coming in, for us at least. The guests coming in, if they want to come in, they want to be left alone, and they want a private dining experience. This is great. But if we have an opportunity, if they say, well, we want a Budweiser, and we don't carry Bud,
Okay.
we carry local, we'll direct them towards something
You're
else
educating them.
and educate them a little bit. And we're not stuffy, we're not pretentious, we're not looking to be know-it-alls. We just want people to enjoy what they're doing, and what they're eating, what they're drinking, and also be able to feel confident when they come to a restaurant or another restaurant like ours. Like the people following me today, we're all a community in Newport, and we're all really trying to push little things in order to better an experience for people, and it's not just about selling and going.
So Chef, I covered the menu question I got here, I just covered the thing about the wine spectators, so I did mention that you definitely have that. Couple last quick questions for you before I let you go.
Sure.
But your background there that you've done and to make this happen, to accomplish, carrying on the tradition of the White Horse Tavern, so to speak, do you see right now that guests are coming in and asking more for the locally sourced things, or partaking in it more because it's locally sourced, especially from the tourism perspective? Because we get a lot of people that I've run into that come in and say, okay, I can't get this anywhere else, you know?
Well, you know, it's definitely helps us a lot, because the product that we source out compared to your normal bought-in-a-box product,
right,
and all over the country, we want to help out the local economy, so you tend to pay a little bit more. These people, you know, grass-fed beef, they raise longer than the commodity beef, so it costs more. So when a customer comes in and they look, what we found is that it eases their mind when it comes to menu costs. If we're $2 or $3 more an entree than some other people are, they understand that,
They understand the difference in wine.
because of what we're sourcing, why we're sourcing, and how we're sourcing. I mean, I'm going down in a cooler in the back of my truck to Point Judith,
Right.
and picking fish up before
So
work.
that's a very good point, and that's why I think I get a lot of that comments from people I run into in the restaurants from the tourism perspective is, yes, you are getting completely fresh, completely locally sourced, and the White Horse Tavern has a great attribute for that. So I have two other quick things. One, I just
Sure.
got private events. Can people do private events?
We do private events. We have rooms that go from 10, that we can do for 5, 8 in another room, between 10 and 20 in one room, 40 in another room, or they could buy the whole restaurant out for, I think it's 90 people.
Really?
And, you know, it's chances are a Friday and a Saturday in the middle of summer, we're probably not going to sell the whole place out. But, you know, we are open to, we're here to cater to people.
And during the winter, the hours don't change drastically, right? I mean, you're still open 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
All right, awesome.
The only
So
day we're
year-
closed is Christmas.
So it's a year-round destination, very
Right.
important thing to mention. And the last question I have is a question that I always try to ask the chefs when I bring them in. You prepare a lot of things, you've got a great culinary background. What are some of the things that are either your favorites or you recommend that people don't miss, that they should experience and try? A couple dishes.
At the tavern, okay. You know, it's the vein. I love the dish. It's 40 years old. It's, to any other chef, it would be the bane of their existence having to take somebody else's food. But the Wellington is definitely something to try. I really feel like we as a team, we do it really well. Our seafood is done well, seasoned well, seared well. Great ingredients, minimal ingredients, and fresh. So you're tasting exactly that. I would say something casual. During the daytime, we have a great burger. By the way, Wednesday nights for our locals, we do burger night, $17 burger and a craft draft beer, and it's usually something quite nice, different toppings and everything else. So that's what we do for our locals. You know, Wednesday night's burger night.
It's a great thing to do.
And then you know, we have a good chicken farmer out of North Kingston. We also use Buffoni's out of Johnston.
There's not a shortage, is what you're
Our
saying.
seafood, I'd say our lobster and our fresh seafood would probably be my favorite.
Awesome. Well, listen, you have to get to the White Horse Tavern to check this out. Like you said, they're the oldest restaurant in the country. The history alone is gonna amaze you before you even get to dine to enjoy this. And the chef is out on the floor. I've seen him out on the floor. Guests tell me that you're out there talking to him on a regular basis. So make sure you say hi to the chef next time you're in. Chef, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
me.
very much, Rick.
Really
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna finish this beer later on, for
Please do.
sure.
These out?
And dive into this, for sure.
All right, please do.